Roll Tide, everybody. And guess what? We are back again because Bama just landed another commitment. This is the third commitment of the 26 class. This guy's out of Sparkman High School in North Alabama, and he was highly sought after. So we're going to get into that right here on Cover Crimson Live and give you an update. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that promo code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit. Bama adding their third commitment. Got to feel good. Roll Tide. All right, Jamarian Matthews, who is from Sparkman, obviously over in Gainesville, Georgia, but an Alabama fan growing up, edge rusher. And someone that Alabama was after has committed to the Crimson Tide today. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Bama's coaching staff. And another nice pickup for the Tide, Clint.
Yeah, really good pickup. And, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier about him. Just want to reiterate some of the things that I said. Listed at 6'3", probably checks in just a little bit shorter than that. Listed, some recruiting services have him at like 220, others have him at 240. Hayes Fawcett on the commitment graphic listed him at 250. And so I think he's somewhere between 240 and 250. He's expected to play bandit in Alabama's defense. So, you know, they're going after a lot of different edge players. Some of them are going to be playing wolf, so they will need to have that off-ball versatility. Others will be more of three-down defensive linemen type edges, which are going to be your bandits. And Matthews fits more of a bandit style. And when you watch him on tape, he's physical. You know, definitely is a guy that can win, whether it be, you know, the explosion off the snap or off the edge, whether it be attacking the B gaps. Great inside move, inside spin move, whether you're talking about that being a primary rush move or being a secondary counter move. Love what this guy brings to the table. I think Alabama got a really good one.
Yeah, exciting stuff here. He picked Alabama over, you know, a bunch of big targets: Clemson, Florida State, Penn State, LSU. The list goes on and on. He made visits to Tuscaloosa. He's been there a lot, right? He was at the Missouri game in October. He was at Junior Day. The On3 site has him as a 4-star. ESPN and Rivals have him as a 4-star. 24/7 has him as a 3-star. But he's a guy that definitely garners a bunch of accolades from the industry. He's a top 200 national player, the top 20 edge guy, and he's top 25 in the state of Georgia, although you mentioned it. He's really been an Alabama guy up until recently.
Yeah, he's an in-state player who's gone out of state, but this is the relationship and stuff was built in state. And he grew up an Alabama fan, a lot of production for Sparkman. I want to say close to 60 tackles, 17 sacks, 32 tackles for loss, 15 or 16 quarterback hurries, a forced fumble, couple of fumble recoveries. Very productive. I think he might actually have been the most productive from a sack perspective player in the state of Alabama in 2024. And like I said, I mean, when you watch him, he's perfectly built for the bandit position. Like, he's going to continue to gain weight, but looking at the high school level, he's not some 215, 220-pound edge right now. He's already sitting up there closer to 240, maybe even 250. I would suspect that he will take kind of the Jordan Renaud route where he'll get on campus, probably instantly get up there 260 plus, 265, and be a lot more equipped to be able to do hold up as far as the run is concerned when playing that bandit position. But like I said, I mean, what I like about him is that you can rush him off the edge, and he's got enough explosion, twitch, whatever you want to call it, and he's got some bend to his game, actually quite a bit of bend. You saw him, aligned kind of as a 7-tech, wide 9, getting after the quarterback, is able to do that, is able to do some stuff as far as if you're bringing pressure off the edge, can counter and attack the B gap. Very, very quick, and he does a good job of setting up offensive tackles. Like, he'll let them take that outside set, and then hit him with one outside step and then counter inside immediately. And he typically wins with speed through doing that. But he also has shown the ability to convert speed to power. He's shown to be a good run defender. So I think this is a really good get for Alabama. There are some other players that they're still recruiting both at Bandit and at Wolf. I don't know how this will impact anyone like Tank Jones, but I do know that Alabama was needing more juice for its 2026 class, and this is a really good get from the Crimson Tide.
The other thing too, Clint, is that Bama is doing it in state, and so this is 2 in-state guys now that are committed. Now this isn't signed, but committed. They only had 2 in their class a year ago. Although that class still was top 3, top 4, depending on what service. But we just felt like they needed to do a better job in state. And so they add another guy from, technically out of state, but really in state. So I think that's a good sign for Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff.
Well, Kalen DeBoer and them won't get any credit for this as far as an in-state player. And that's unfortunate. But it's he's every bit of an in-state player as you can get, in my opinion. I mean, he grew up an Alabama fan. He played a huge chunk, at least 3 out of his 4 years on the high school level in the state of Alabama. And that's where the relationship was established. So for anybody that was worried about Kalen DeBoer's ability to recruit in state, it was just the fact that he is a big relationship guy. He is very good at building relationships and kind of, and he didn't get an opportunity to do that with the last cycle because he was kind of, he wasn't really recruiting the state of Alabama while he was at Washington. So he was kind of behind the 8 ball. Hugh Freeze had made that a priority in-state recruiting, especially once Nick Saban retired. He thought, okay, Nick Saban has had a strong hold on the state of Alabama. We're going to kind of try to make a statement here and say, okay, now that Nick Saban's gone, the state of Alabama is ours. I think Kalen DeBoer is doing a really good job of counterpunching that in 2026, which is what we kind of all expected. The whole in-state narrative, I think, it doesn't need to be a narrative anymore, in my opinion. And so if Kalen DeBoer if he's going out of state, it's because he likes players more that are out of state. But there are going to be certain key guys, and we talked about Tank Jones and Sadarian Morgan, and there's some guys they're going after in state they really want. They're a fit schematically, they're a fit from a cultural standpoint. So I mean, I'm not saying they're only going to go after out of state guys. I mean, in state is going to be very important, but just know if you see them at certain spots going after positions that are maybe out of state and you want them to be going after somebody in state, understand it could be a fit, whether that be culturally or from a schematic standpoint.
Guys, Roll Tide is a thumbs up on this channel. So give us a Roll Tide, a thumbs up as Bama lands their 2nd commit in as many days. And we appreciate you hanging out with us here on Cover Crimson. We'll have more coverage at covercrimson.com, where Clint will help break down all of the recruiting class. And we'll even get into who we think might be coming up next. And that's a question I'll ask you here. But some momentum for the Crimson Tide. We sat with one recruit, Zion Gibson. We thought, hey, is this going to be it? The Gadsden City DB? No, we got Chris Booker, the offensive lineman out of Atlanta. Boom. And then the next day, obviously with this move here, Jamarian Matthews. So now got up to 3 recruits for Alabama. There hasn't been a drop off at all since Nick Saban left, still hitting 4s and 5s and, high 3s as far as the star rankings go. So that's a good sign, nailing down the in-state guys and taking care of the interior, which is how you win football games on both sides of the ball the last couple of days.
Yeah, an emphasis on the trenches, which isn't surprising. That's how you win in the SEC. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have guys who can, complement that as far as the run game. You got to have pass catchers who can, catch the football when the quarterback throws it to them. You got to have corners who can cover. But offensive line, keeping your quarterback protected, generating that movement in the run game. Defensive line, as far as stopping the run, as far as getting after the quarterback, generating turnovers, doing all the things. I mean, the trenches matter, and they matter a lot. And I don't think I'm saying anything that people don't already know. But you can kind of see where they're heading with this class. Like, there is a huge emphasis on edge rushers. We've talked about Kane Wommack's defense and the fact that it's more so, at least in the past, it has been designed pressure into turnovers rather than pressure into sacks. I've talked about this multiple times. Anybody that watches the channel consistently, you know that I have. But I will say, I do think Alabama could do a little bit of a better job. They did a pretty good job of affecting the quarterback from a sack standpoint. Not great. I want to say down in the 60s, maybe nationally, as far as sacks per game. But they at least, you had LT Overton, who had close to 40 pressures. You had a couple of other guys, and Quay Russaw, he got banged up, and Q Robinson was a big part of that. And then he got injured and was out for the season. So they had circumstances that kind of affected things, but I think they could be better in that area. And you can tell by the types of players that they're recruiting, that will be an emphasis, because I do think Kane Wommack at other places that he's been, he's never had access to this much talent. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to just be pressure and a turnovers. You can become like a hybrid of both, where you're actually finishing some of these plays and, putting the offense in bad situations and forcing them to punt the football. Or, there will be situations where maybe the Wolf doesn't quite get to the quarterback, but he throws a ill-advised throw and a defensive back picks it off, and now it's Alabama football, like that sort of thing. It could be a hybrid of both. I think that the access that Alabama has, the caliber of athletes that they have access to, you're seeing them go after some impressive pass rushers, and it seems to be like they're doing a pretty good job as far as recruiting that position.
Awesome. All right, so where do we go from here?
Bear McWhorter would be probably the next one. It's no guarantee that he's going to pick Alabama, but Alabama seems to be in pretty good position. Offensive lineman, 6'3", 305, 306, very powerful, only rated as a 3-star. But once again, this is another Chris Booker situation. Maybe not quite to that extent, but I feel like this is going to be a guy that climbs. Plays left tackle for his high school team, a little bit of left guard too. Going to play on the inside on the next level, just because of the lack of length. But he is exactly what Kalen DeBoer and Coach Cap want in an offensive lineman. So if you can close on him next week, I guess a week from today, I think it's the 28th is when he's expected to announce. That would be 2 offensive linemen, technically a defensive lineman or an edge. So 3 or 4 commitments would be there in the trenches. And while from a star power perspective, it probably wouldn't be anything to write home about, all of these guys that Alabama has added or will have added are extremely underrated. Go watch the tape. I think that Kalen DeBoer and company, they're going after specific guys, that they want specific players at all these various positions, and they got to be able to fit some of what they do, and they're targeting the right guys on that front.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Again, Bama adds their 3rd commitment to the 26 class. They'll continue to push hard, but Jamarian Matthews, a 6'3" edge, 220 pounds, really from Sparkman, but moved to Gainesville, Georgia, picks Alabama over Penn State for one, and a bunch of other schools, Clemson being in there, and decides to come to Tuscaloosa. So congratulations to Alabama, and they'll continue to push, and we'll continue to cover it right here on the channel. I also want you guys to, again, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Make sure that you take advantage of our deal right now, $25 off the annual subscription, covercrimson.com. Got a lot going on over there, talking Bama every single day. Clint got you covered. Look at that, Clint with the it's it right there. He's strong. He's strong. You can check him out at covercrimson.com. And we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that promo code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit. Any final thoughts, my friend?
No, appreciate everybody for being here. We did kind of have an idea as far as when this would be coming. But it's things are starting to pick up on the recruiting trail for Alabama. And, as I said, don't pay attention to star rankings, even though I think a lot of this is going to be taken care of. I think as more services evaluate some of these guys, I think it's just a matter of Kalen DeBoer and company being a little bit ahead. So don't freak out on that front, but also be excited about what they're doing, because I think they're getting the guys that fit the system And, that's exactly what you want to see. We're already seeing some of that start to play out from a current personnel perspective and the guys who are on the roster for 2025. I think that will only continue, and I think this Alabama team will be in good shape as a result.
All right. Roll Tide, everybody. We'll talk to you again coming up soon. Got the elephant in the room tomorrow. You'll be able to watch that tomorrow with quarterback Jake Coker, everyone's favorite person on this channel, and Alphonse Taylor, a.k.a. Shank. That's what I'm being told. So we'll see. Roll Tide. All right, man.